Whether or not I'm in a bonnet, whether I'm in my bed, whether I'm outside, whether I'm in the car, whether I'm walking around, whether I'm at my workspace, I am going to share the reasons why I am recording these videos now, because as a visionary, regardless of what state or what part of my life I'm in throughout the day, if something comes to me, this is more so for me to share with you all that as a visionary of your life, you're gonna have these moments where you will have a breakthrough at any given point in time. And that's not to say that you could just pick up a camera. Well, you quite literally can pick up a camera and share those moments and really capitalize on being able to hear the different processes that you've gone through for yourself, but hopefully inspire other people to do that. For me, for a very long time, at least for the last 5 years, I thought that it would just be so much better if people just, me specifically, close myself off, turn into a hermit, and not really put myself out into the world. And there was a slew of things that made me retreat into a bubble, which I'll explain in a minute. But I think one of the biggest realizations that I've had is to be able to be more open and to try different realms in which how I can regain my visionary discoveries. And so in doing so, I like to share more of who I am on this page through the different processes, because again, this is visionary thoughts, and this is how we can come to have these different parts of our journeys come together and get pieced together to create a world that we want to build. And so I know I've talked about in the past, whether that's with anime, whether that's with reading books, whether that's with watching all these inspirational videos, whether that's Garrett B. Gunderson or my favorite, Myron Golden. I mean, they're both really, really dope, incredible people. And just pulling that from even my experiences when I was a sports junkie growing up. And would I even call myself a sports junkie? I mean, that's slightly debatable, but this is the process of culminating what your life experiences are to, one, tell a story, and to two, be able to deliver that story in a way that is cohesive to then inspire others. I think the through line that I've been noticing, and I know it's been something that's so innate to me, is pulling from the different parts of my life to tell and deliver this collective story. And so in doing so, I'm going to share a little bit about how I've come to create and help my clients with a book called Visionary Readiness Handbook. And you guys are able to get that book by clicking on the link below. And it really was me reverse engineering how I came to see so many of my visions, whether I knew it or not. And I broke it down into 3 different frameworks. But before I go into that, just really evaluating people, the patterns of people, what that looks like in different spaces. So again, the ones that I've already mentioned before, but even as I dive a little bit deeper into my sports life. So growing up, I ran track, I play volleyball, I play basketball. Those are my top 3 sports. And volleyball was the shortest lived, but even in track, I wasn't the fastest, but I wasn't the slowest, and I was all right. Like, I was making a name for myself on the track and field. Well, more the track than the field. I was very bad at high jump and long jump, but that's a different story for another day, which I probably won't tell because it's so relevant. But as the pressure continued to build upon me, it was a balance that I had to navigate. So between the pressure that was building upon me to continuously do better and finding the freedom to enjoy what that experience was, it turned into almost like a magnet coming together, and you can't, because it's on the side that it's not supposed to turn to, so it's doing this little push and pull motion. And so I stopped. I was just like, funnily enough, I evaluated and realized that the reason why I was even running track was because of my friends. And I was always a year younger than everybody. So when everybody left for high school, I was like, what am I here for? I can go explore other facets of my life that now I can tend to, because I've broken free of this notion of having to stick to this. Then I came around to basketball, and that was more so, if you heard my last video as to why I was this little skinny girl who had no arm strength playing basketball, well, I was here to prove a point, because I really wanted to know my dad and understand his world, and his world was always basketball. I didn't grow up with my dad, or I did, but I didn't live with him, so it was just this different kind of experience. I was like, oh, this can be a connecting piece. And I was sick of track already, so by the time I got to high school, I figured this would be a good avenue for me to take. And that showed me a lot of things too, because I was so unlike myself during that time, to the point of me shrinking my big optimism to then say, oh, like practice doesn't matter, oh, this doesn't matter. And I noticed how it shrank me to such a point where, one, I didn't feel like myself, and two, I was doing it in the name of everybody else except for me. And so that was a little bit about just how my chapter of my life in basketball. And then I completely skipped over volleyball. It was so short. I don't even know why I mentioned it. It was a really short period of time in middle school, and I even questioned why I didn't do volleyball. But besides the point, it made me realize through these different notions of who are you serving in this life, to then create a vision around it. And questioning how, even if these different avenues in life did not work out for you, what did it teach you about life? And if I look back at track and why I even worked so hard, and being close to friends and being close to this community that I developed, my through line in track was to ensure that I can inspire and really be there in a way where I can continue building an experience with other people. So really cultivating an experience. That's what it was about for me. Similar with basketball, it was bridging the gap to continue to build that community. And so by the time I got to college, I threw all of the sports away, and I went into college with the business major. And the first class that I took, they were like, there's no point in you taking a business major because you can't learn anything in a classroom. And I was like, well, if you're going to tell me that on the first day of class, then what am I doing with my major? But that allowed me to really think about what I want to do and why I even chose business. I knew that business was something that I wanted to get into because I was naturally wanting to get into leadership spaces, but I didn't really have connections and things of that nature. And I didn't use the internet as much as I probably should have in high school to really explore that, now that I look back, but it's all part of the journey. And so now to be able to reflect back and get to that point, I remember right before I got into my sophomore year, I thought about what do I want to do? And I realized that my in-between time, when I wasn't at practice, when I wasn't at a game, when I wasn't running or running a race, I told stories. I was obsessed with Beyonce. I'll go into that story at some point too, but I imagined what it would look like to flesh out, and I was storyboarding before I knew what storyboarding was. And I fleshed out stories and videos and watched them play out frame by frame. I was obsessed with the behind the scenes and the production. If you hear some gnawing, that's my cat in the back. And if you're wondering why she can't be in the room, well, she's not allowed in the room. And love her though. And so being able to connect those pieces, that's what got me into film, and that's what got me into concert productions, and to really be able to take that stage but be in the background. But this still all goes back to me hiding in the background. I was like, oh, I don't have to be the one that's front facing. I could be the one that's in the back. But then that kind of shifted me into hiding so deep in my own shadow persona that I've hid my own light. And it's important now, as I present to you in this bonnet, is it's not really about how you present yourself with, is having the whole context around it. So the whole purpose of Visionary Thoughts is to continue to encourage people that regardless of how you look and regardless of how you may physically present yourself, it is important to continue to be curious with who you're speaking to, what their story is, and why they might even be presenting themselves in that way. Because similar to me, like if y'all saw me like this, it's like, oh, this girl is just like, who is this, right? But in learning each other's story, that's how you're able to map out a vision. And that's what I talk about in the Visionary Readiness Handbook as I break down 3 frameworks, which is starting with your mindset, making sure that that's the whole part of it doesn't matter. Pico. Mindset starts with knowing the groundwork in which you would be operating from, knowing that regardless of how you show up, this will and is your best for the day, and being able to stay firm in the moment. And then from there, you can get into the vision, and now you can start dreaming and seeing how you can flesh out what you want your world to be. And once you're able to do that, then you can get into framework and develop the system. So this is really the reverse engineering tactics that I use to continue to build out my business with the Mind Economy series. Of course, I teach that through Ayko Visions as I take on my clients to help them share their stories. And so that's really the basis of what I do. And I hope that it's been super helpful. And I'm super excited to continue to share these different stories on how to really make that happen. Pico, you got any last words? Take the stage. You want to be a part of the video? Yeah. I'll let you be a part of the next one, okay? All right. I hope this was helpful. But until next time, thanks so much for sticking with me, and I look forward to sharing more with you soon.